Good morning and welcome to Cramer's Corner with daily technical update. This is Friday and it's the 23rd of January. This video is for educational purpose only. There's no recommendation or advice whatsoever intended. And after market yesterday, Intel came out with earnings and guidance. Earnings were better than expected, but the guidance was a little bit soft and the market was disappointed about that. So in the aftermarket, the share dropped lower, and we can see that here in the intraday chart. We can see massive sell-off in the aftermarket, and it closed around 47.75 area. About that, you can see here. This is the 5-minute chart over here. You can see it dropped back a little bit, but it also continued lower. Also. To around 47.75. So that will be interesting. Where will it actually trade when the market, real market, opens later today? Because the aftermarket is, of course, a little bit less liquid, and that will be key to watch today. Nasdaq 100 normal market yesterday was a little bit different. It was trading about 0.75% higher, and as we can see, it actually pushed above just around the falling trend line there. So this breakout here that bounced from the 100 moving average and RSI bounced from the 40 threshold, it could be something that could continue higher, but again, key level here just around 25,835 is key. The future continued a little bit in the overnight, a little bit higher here, but again, it needs to take out that peak there from 30th of January to really establish or re-establish the bullish trend. So that is something to watch here going into next week. But as you can see, earnings season has kicked in, so we can see that market will possibly be a little bit volatile. S&P 500 closed about 0.5% higher yesterday, and it continued in its bounce, and RSI continued its bounce from the 40 threshold. Still positive sentiment indicating that we could see higher levels, and I think we will see higher levels going into February, and then it could become a little bit weaker. But let's see about that. And aftermarket and overnight in Asian session, we can see it continues to bounce a little bit here in the form of the mini future on the S&P 500. The Dow Jones, more or less the same picture. Really, overall picture is still a bullish trend, but it is a little bit stretched, as we can see. And again, let's have a look at the peak there, 49,901. If it takes out that, well, then it's back in its bullish trend. What has continued bullish trend is the Russell 2000 small cap index, and actually closed higher yesterday. You can see here wasn't much intraday movement, but it closed higher. So the small caps are still running the show in US. In Asian session, really basically unchanged, about 0.5% higher, but still this range bound area here. 27,119 needs to take out, and support here 26,264. Nikkei, a little bit of setback, still bullish trend. So it is a little bit stretched, as we can see the strength indicator declining, but still bullish trend is intact for now. In the European session yesterday, we had a strong move higher, bouncing off the support from the previous day here, Wednesday and Thursday, following through, and I think we'll see that picture continuing towards the end of January into February. Pre-market, we can see we are sitting back a little bit, just a tad. but still strong bounce above 5,800. That is key towards that support area. Also, DAX yesterday, a German leading index, bounced strongly, taking back 50%, and still positive sentiment, no divergence on the RSI, indicating likely higher levels in the DAX index in the German stocks going into the end of January and into February, I believe. As long as it stays above the lows here from a couple of days back, 24,349, key resistance in this area here that should be observed, but I think we will see it pushing higher. And the pre-market, as we can see, really not much movement, basically trading sideways. I also took 50% back there on the CFD slash future. The euro dollar still in this triangle-like pattern there. Once again yesterday and this morning testing the 786 retracement just below the falling trend line, and that is key. And also the RSI testing the 60 threshold. If it breaks back above and stays above, well, then it's back in positive sentiment, and if it can break above the falling trend line, well, then there could be a more upside towards 119, 120 to follow, but let's see about that. It's still key. Sterling dollar yesterday closed above, and we are now a little bit back below the 135 here. That is key to re-establish the bullish trend. I think it will do it eventually, but it needs to have the 60 threshold to stay above that, and the falling trend line here on the relative strength index, the strength indicator. If it can get back above that, well, then I think we'll see cable or sterling dollar pushing towards 137. The 55 moving average is turning around there, so I think it will do it eventually, but it's not real conviction at the moment. The euro sterling that got rejected there at the 55, still below the falling trend line, couldn't stay above, spiked above a couple of times the past few days, and I still believe it will slide back towards 86 eventually. But if it takes out the peak there from the 21st, well, then there could be a room up to 87.80, but I think it will be a little bit of a stretch, really. Yen pairs, let's have a look at them. Really just there. A lot of volatility in Asian session on the yens there. And if we have a look at the intraday, let's just have a look at the intraday, what's going on here. See massive volatility, just early here this morning, massive sell-off, and then bounce strongly back. I haven't checked out what actually happened there. Sorry about that. Before I prepared for this this video here, but massive move in the yen pairs, but it didn't make a new high on the dollar yen. So that is key towards. I think the way it moves out of the high and low from today, that is the direction that will tell. That is the direction it will follow. So also here on euro yen, spiking to just below 187, just to the 138.2 projection there at 186.76, and RSI still stays below the falling trend line. Let's see what happens today when the European session really is kicking in. They're still reading the morning news here in Europe, so that will be key towards the Aussie yen. Also massive move up and down, a lot of volatility, but didn't really get anywhere as it is now. But as we can see, what happened yesterday, strong move yesterday on the Aussie yen, RSI back above the falling trend line there, indicating we will see higher levels, and I think we will see higher levels here in the coming days and weeks. And if we're looking at the weekly, we can see it spiked almost up to the peak there from 2004. We didn't get all the way up there. It is a little bit stressed, as we can see here on the weekly, so be cautious. If this is the peak, and we can then add a Fibonacci to it. You see it set back always to the 38.2, and it could slide back to the rising trend line there. Moving on to sterling yen, spiked higher, and then we can remove this one here. There we are, and we can see it spiked higher above the peak, but still trading back below. Could push to 215.80 at 138.2 projection here, but something happened in the yen pairs. I haven't checked it. I'm sorry about that. What was happening in Asian session, but it didn't matter much because we are still trading a little bit unchanged. On the Aussie dollar, massive move yesterday, as we talked about, spiking to spot on 161.8 projection of this correction mood here, and then maybe could stall a little bit. However, RSI new highs, cancel this divergence, indicating likely higher levels in for the Aussie dollar here in the near future, and we could see it pushing up to 69.5. These peaks area there, possibly be pushing higher in the coming weeks, coming months. You can see here RSI on the weekly, no divergence, indicating likely high levels, and I think we will see Aussie dollar pushing higher in the coming weeks, in the coming months, towards these peaks over here, just around the 71.5 area, possibly higher, with this strong move here. The dollar Canada sitting back, as we talked about the past few days. It probably would now, taking back 50% of this uptrend there. I think it will continue lower, but as you can see, RSI bouncing from the 40 threshold. And that's a little bit of a strong bouncing signal, really. But if it takes out the lows here from today and from yesterday, then I think we will see it down to 137.50, which is the 61.8 retracement, possibly lower, because if it does that, then we will also likely see RSI back below 40. So we are a little bit of a threshold at the moment on the knife's edge here for dollar Canada. Will it bounce? Or will it continue lower? It could bounce a little bit, but I still think that we'll see it lower. We have the 55 coming down. We have the 100 moving average slowly turning around. We are below the cloud, so eventually I think it will push lower. Sterling Canada still in this limbo phase here between 185 and 185 and 187, wide range, but that's the name of the game at the moment. On the EURSwiss has bounced a little bit and then set back, and I still believe we will see it taking out the lows here from a couple of days ago at 92.50, and these lows here around 92.35 is likely to come under pressure. Declining moving averages 55, 100, and slightly basically sideways on the 200, but we are below the cloud. We are also negative sentiment. I think eventually it will slide lower. Dollar Swiss finding some support a little bit, trying to push lower here this morning, didn't do it, but we are in a bearish move, a lot of volatility, and I think we will see dollar Swiss pushing lower in the coming weeks. It's just a question of time, I think, before it does that. You will see 200 declining, 55, and the 100 moving averages declining. So I think it's just a question of time before it will actually push to the lows here around 78.20 and possibly lower. The dollar index still holding on around the 61.8 retracement, and the RSI bouncing off the 40 threshold. So it's a question, will it push below the lows there at just around 98? If it does that, which I believe it will, but again, it's not about belief, it's just proof. We need to have proof, but we can see the 55 declining, the 100 the 200 coming down there, and 100 flat, and we are below the cloud. So let's see what happens. But if it takes out 98, then I think we will also push lower, and RSI will get back in negative sentiment. The gold spot pushed higher, very close to the 5,000 level. I think it will be touched and maybe also spiked a little bit above. You can see the RSI yesterday broke above and stayed above the falling trend line here. There's still divergence, but it broke above, and that could be a sign of that gold is set to push higher in the coming weeks, and I think it will do that, and I think we will touch 5,000. I also think we will spike above it. Will we stay above? That is key. We are a little bit stressed, but again, trend is up. And the silver very close to 100, very close, 99.40. And as I said before, I think we'll get up to 103, 104, maybe higher, but 103, 104. And then maybe we could see a setback here. We can see the weekly, it's going almost vertical here. 6 months ago, we were trading around $30, and now we are up towards very close to 100, and I think we will have that, and then we should expect a little bit of a setback, maybe a bit of a correction if we hit 100, and I think we will hit 100 there. The platinum spot here pushed higher yesterday, as we talked about it was likely to do, and now it stays above 26.30 currently, and there could be more upside for the platinum towards 3,000. Will it reach 3,000? If it does reach 3,000, then we probably also have silver and gold much higher, because it seems like platinum is trying to, they're lagging the other two metals, and that for platinum to go to 3,000, we need also gold and silver to push much higher. It seems like that's the name of the game. It's lagging those. Copper, on the other hand, testing support there at 569 yesterday, bouncing from it. Can it bounce further? And what I will do here on the daily chart, I will add a Fibonacci to it. See, okay, do we have some levels? And we bounce to 38.2. That's not interesting. It's interesting if it can get back above 598 and the 61.8 retracement. If it can do that, then it could resume uptrend. And if RSI can get back above 60 threshold and back above the falling trend line especially, then we can see higher levels. It could be an indication of higher levels on the copper future. On the energy market, a lot of volatility over the past few days on the crude oil here, the WTI crude oil, support at 58.80, still key. If it takes out the lows here from the past few days, the past week or so, well, then I think we will see a downtrend to be resumed, but there we are basically trading sideways here between 58.80 and up to 62.59, 60 up here. So that's the breakout it needs to do. Positive sentiment indicating will do to the upside, but again, I want proof of that. It's not about guessing really. Brent crude oil, more or less the same picture. Sideways trading with a slightly positive undertone on crude oil. And if the nat gas is any guide, which is not really that much, but still, we have the European nat gas spiking much higher yesterday. Extreme volatility, almost up to previous peaks area, and I go back in this range here, these levels here, just above 42 euros, and now sitting back. It is very volatile. It seems like there's some panic going on there, so it can be a little bit difficult to predict. But we have the we can add Fibonacci to it. See the setback to the 32. We need to adjust a little bit. There we are, but it hit it spot on. If it takes out the lows here from today, then we could see it setting back to around 34, 33.90, maybe even down to 32.5. But I think it will bounce further and push higher. It's been cold. It is cold in northern Europe. Also, US yesterday spiked higher to the 161.8 projection of this corrective move here, and then sitting back to the 38.2 at 464. Still positive sentiment, indicating we could see higher levels, but again, I would not trade it. I really need to. If I was trading nat gas, I should know more about the nat gas market and what's going on. Extremely volatile at the moment, so it's a little bit dangerous to trade. Anyway, let's move on to interest rates. And the US 10-year sitting back after hitting the 430 projection there, the 138 projection, and 130 level just spiking a little bit above. But in the coming weeks and months, despite sitting back a little bit, we could see high levels towards 435, 440. But it could test the 421, 420 in a setback. We sometimes see that when it breaks a resistance, it goes back and then tests it, and then it takes off again. On the European yields, hovering around the EU 10-year, around just below the 290, 288. It is in a bullish trend, positive sentiment. I think we will see it crawling higher, especially also if we see the US 10 crawling higher. And key will be 292. If it takes out that, well, then there's possibly then there's room up to around 3%. UK still below the rising trend line there. Tried yesterday again to test it and get back above, and the falling trend line also, but got set back, and that will be key. If it breaks above the falling trend line, well, then we have demolished this bearish picture, but I think it will slide back here the next few days. And if it takes out 410 to the downside again, well, then I think we will see downtrend resuming. Japanese 10-year setting back yesterday further again to around 2.25, and could find some support and then bounce. We are still in a positive sentiment. There's actually no divergence, as you can see. It's actually rising slightly there on the strength indicator, indicating likely higher levels in the coming weeks. Moving on to Bitcoin, trading around the 89,200 support area. It dipped below. We are in a neutral position. It hasn't really established a bearish trend, but the bullish trend is on pause. RSI bounced from the 40 threshold, so I will give it a couple of days. If it takes out the lows here from a couple of days back, well, then it could be a push to the 80,000 again. But for now, I think it could crawl back a little bit. But I would expect over the weekend it would take a sideways trading. Same picture on Ethereum, actually, also trading a little bit sideways. But the bullish trend is on pause and has been demolished somewhat. Key support there at 2770. If it takes out that, well, then I think we'll see it pushing below 2600. All right, that's all for today. Have a nice day and a nice weekend, and be careful out there. A lot of volatility seems to be hitting the market.